Hello everyone and welcome to Magic Bricks webinar series. This is a platform for consumers to interact with industry experts. My name is Neha Nagpal and I'm your moderator for the session today. I'd like to invite the guest today. Is Mr. Kumar Vardhan Patodia. He's a director Unimark Group. Kumar heads the company core business strategy and is an integral part of a new vision to move the company forward. Prior to joining Unimark, Kumar worked at JP Morgan Securities in New York, a US-based investment bank. With over 5 years of experience in the real estate sector, Kumar represents a strong foundation of ambition, excellence, growth, and consistency in the face of an evolving and challenging real estate industry. I also welcome E. Jayashree Karu, Head Editorial Magic Bricks. She has been a business journalist for over 2 decades with the Times of India, the Economic Times, and the Financial Express. She forayed into research in 2002. She is a regular guest columnist with a number of established media, including the Times Group and others. I welcome you both. Over to you, Jayashree.
Thank you, Neha. Welcome, Kumar. Welcome, audience, to our Magic Bricks webinar series. This is our effort to make sure that we bring the experts right to you and enable a dialogue between the developer and the consumer. And today we find that the consumers are taking more time to buy. There is a lot of end users in the market and they have all kinds of queries. And people like Kumar Patodia, who have experience in the finance world, in the development world, are people who will be able to address the end consumers' queries. Kumar, before we start taking the consumers' queries, I thought it would be good for you to set the context of affordable housing. What is affordable housing? Where is that affordable housing? And does it match the needs of the consumer?
So, I just like to start the background of, how the market has moved over the last few years. The real estate sector has essentially seen a large transition since 2002. And, 2002, 2003, 2004 onwards till about 2010-11 was about the golden period of real estate where, demand was far, outstripping the supply. And, where the larger developers and, the entire, fraternity was concentrating more on, premium and luxury housing to meet the growing requirements of people. And also there was a huge price movement from about 2004 to 2009 where prices in real estate almost moved 3, 4, 5 times. So the concept of luxury and premium housing in those days and about 7 or 8 years later changed. In the last couple of years we have seen there's a large transition towards affordable housing and housing for the EWS, LIG, MIG, and now you can clearly see a distinction between LIG, MIG, HIG, and this distinction was to a large extent not very clear 5 years or 7 years back. So today you have affordable housing developments happening across the country, where affordable housing may mean different things in different parts of the country. But from the government's perspective, affordable housing is more measured in terms of the unit sizes. So, you have a EWS category, which is less than 30 square meter carpet area. You have a LIG category, which is less than 60 square meter carpet area. And in the last government notification, they've introduced 2 MIG categories, MIG1, which is less than 90 square meter carpet area, and MIG2, which is less than 110 square meter carpet area for the definitions of affordable housing. And they have, subsidies based on, the different categories, and the subsidies range from about 2,67,000 rupees per unit to about 2,35,000 rupees per unit.
Right. Now, how has the market taken to these government policies? What is your feeling?
So I think people are still trying to understand the government policy. So this affordable housing policy was essentially instituted earlier this year in January and February, and the government has given a window of about 12 months till about 31st December of this year for these subsidies. But I think the government at the same time is making a large effort for people to know about these subsidies, and since it's a new policy, the policy itself is evolving in terms of how it will be handled, how the subsidy will transfer, and many people expect that this policy will be extended next year. So I think people are finding out about it. The policies get towards first home buyers, there's a special promotion for women buyers. So I think people and banks are sort of and the major push for spreading the word out for this policy is through the banks.
So as developers, are you also pushing these when you have consumers who come for the relevant sizes or the relevant price ranges? Are you also pushing them to try and see whether they qualify for these subsidies?
Yes, absolutely. So, for most of our affordable housing projects, we have, separate collaterals which educate them about the, the subsidies available. We have, a video which is made, on the site so people can easily understand. We have, tie-ups with banks where, bank personals regularly visit and are stationed at our site where they educate people about, the benefits that they can get. So, we are doing what we can through our network, through our, customer service and marketing efforts to let people know about this. And we are also hand-holding them to, help them avail these benefits.
Okay. There are two other policies that consumers have been asking us a lot about. One is RERA, the other one is GST. Now, what is the impact of these two policies on the affordable housing segment?
So, I'll take it one at a time. So starting with the GST, there's a transition from a service tax regime of about 3.75% to 4.5% of the flat value, and certain local states also had VAT on the apartments, and now there's a transition to a single tax called the goods and service tax, so GST, and essentially on real estate this differential tax is now at 12% instead of 4.5%. Largely, which was earlier. But so there's an increase in taxation for the customer by 7.5%. But at the same time, the developers are getting some input credits which they were not getting earlier. So I believe that in the affordable housing segment, much of the benefit can get passed on, depending on the structure, depending on how far ahead the project is. And we expect that some of this benefit that developers are going to get will be passed on, but there is also an additional incidence which may be there on the customers from this increased taxation rate.
So will they take the prices up or down?
So I think prices in the affordable housing segment will largely stay very close to where they are. People and the developers and the market is still trying to understand the impact and ramifications of this GST policy, what it will have, what effect it will have across the supply chain. So maybe early days to comment, but I think in the affordable housing segment, there will be a price parity to what it was earlier. And in terms of the Real Estate Regulatory Act, the Central Act has been, notified. And certain states have already taken up and made they have already notified their state policies as well. So I think we expect the policy in West Bengal as well to come up sometime soon. But the larger effect of RERA will be that for the organized developers, they will have to get more organized, and it's a larger transition for the people who have been operating in a slightly more unorganized manner. So in the long run, I think we will see a much more transparency in developments, greater information sharing with the customers. We will see less diversion of money outside of projects, and we will hopefully see more projects getting completed on time. And larger confidence in customers to go ahead with early stage bookings. So I think in the long run, it's going to be a positive, and people will feel, and investors will feel more comfortable in investing in the sector because of the greater transparency. But I think in the short run, you will see a large transition happening along with GST as well as RERA. So you will see a lot of internal homework being done by developers to get ready for following these two policy guidelines.
So there is a period, how long do you think it is before this policy will actually settle down?
I think it will take, GST, I think, people are already, so they have, teams working to ascertain the impact of GST and, to go ahead with the compliances. So I think GST should take about 2 to 3 months for people to, get used to it. and so all the ERPs, all the softwares, all the systems, they are also undergoing changes to accommodate this GST impact. So I think it will settle down in the next couple of months. And in terms of RERA, I think it's an ongoing process. So as soon as the different states notify the regulator as per the central ordinance, then I think it will take a few months for everyone to streamline their operations. And I think towards the end of this year, we'll see a large portion of the country settling down to go the policy.
Okay. Now, thanks so much for sharing your perspective on the policies with us. Let's go to the queries that our consumers have been asking. We've got an Sachin Sahni from Delhi who says, what efforts does the government need to take to make affordable housing more attractive for a consumer? Now, has the government taken efforts to make it attractive? If so, have they communicated enough? And is there something more they need to do?
So I think the government is starting to focus more, or has even in the previous budget they have focused more on pushing the affordable housing segment. They've also given the affordable housing segment infrastructure status, which will also help lower the finance cost for the developers. They've come out with this credit links subsidy scheme, which allows first home buyers to get credit linked subsidies from the banks for their purchases made. There are also income tax benefits that buyers can avail for the home loans that they take. So there's a large thrust by the government, but at the same time I feel that the government needs to be more active in letting people know about such schemes, because even today you have a large section of people who are unaware of this kind of schemes, which we are having to educate. So at the same time I feel the government also has to do effort, the developers also have to push it from their end, the banks also have to push it from their end. So I think it has to be a consolidated effort and a combined effort of different stakeholders to let consumers know about these policies and the benefits which they can avail from the same.
Absolutely. That's a very valid point. Now, we've got Rajveer Singh from Chandigarh who says, do you think that today's affordable will turn into tomorrow's upscale? Actually, this is what a lot of people have been asking us. If I invest today in early stages of development or in cheaper housing, will it become upscale? Will my investment yield better returns?
So, there are, a couple of food for thoughts over there. One is that, there is going to be a price difference between an early stage booking and a ready booking. So you will see that complexes and developments which are, executed well, planned well, there will be a price appreciation from, what people book at when the project is launched to when, the project is ready. So, there will be an upside for people who get in at the early stages. In terms of, whether it will be the premium housing for tomorrow, again, it largely depends on the planning of the apartment, the location, the social infrastructure drivers around the property. But, at the same time, it's very difficult to define luxury, because these apartments are fairly small in terms of the area. So whether it's going to classify as a luxury space tomorrow, it's questionable. But definitely there will be a price upside as and when the social infrastructure drivers, the communication infrastructure, and all of these things develop over a period of time along with the project life cycle. There will be an upside for people who get in at the early stage.
So Kumar, can you give us a 5-point checklist for a consumer? These are the 5 things you should check so that the property that you're buying today, once everything comes up, once your property comes up, it should be worth your while. Just a 5-point checklist for the consumers.
Yeah. So one is, the ownership and the title of the property should, absolutely be clear. So there should not be any disputes or any of those things. Second is, the infrastructure drivers around. So, whether there's a metro station, there's a railway station, the social infrastructure around in terms of hospitals, hotels, schools, retail, malls, all of those things. So location largely will play a major factor in, determining, how much appreciation there is. Third is, the developer background and the execution of the project, so what you see in the brochure, whether it's actually translated into that level, and whether the project is planned properly. Fourth is the systems and the processes, the basic necessities and the facilities in terms of the electrical connection, the DG sets, all of those things, are done properly. And the fifth is, the larger market movement, so, the overall drivers of the state, whether they are delivered or not. So I think these 4 or 5 things will, impact or, reflect on the performance of the asset class in the long run.
Right. And also, I suppose we should also add access to the jobs hubs. If there are jobs coming there, that is what drives your property investment value. We've got Robin Deka from Nagpur who says, don't you think that affordability is a loose term? What is affordable in Mumbai may not be affordable in Jabalpur. So is it a misnomer? Is that a wrong term to use?
So I think, in each city, so if you look at the larger cities like a Mumbai market, you have different segments of affordability. And, and from the government's perspective, they have measured affordability in terms of the unit sizes. But at the same time, unit sizes will be priced differently based on the location and the land prices. So in each micro market, you will have, projects where, an affordable segment may get defined by a unit size as well as the ticket size. So even in micro markets where, there's a lot of luxury housing around, because of the smaller unit sizes, you'll have apartments available at, half or less than half the cost in terms of the ticket size. But at the same time, if you go for the larger surrounding areas, I think if you compare, a Jabalpur market or a Mumbai market, you will see that, if you go about 40, 50, 60, 70 kilometers outside or towards the periphery of Mumbai, you will see a convergence in terms of what is available in Jabalpur and what is available in Mumbai.
Yes, and that is, I think, the critical thing that consumers need to understand. When you buy in the core city areas, the properties are much more expensive. As you move into the suburban areas, it's a little cheaper. Peripheral areas, it's still cheaper. But if you go into a smaller city, what you could buy in the periphery of a large city is what you can buy in the core of a small city. And that really determines the value of your investment. But remember that the large cities are more expensive because they are jobs hubs. They are the magnets. And that is where the value appreciation goes up very high. But when you go to the smaller cities, if it has strong job creation, those are the cities where you can get better value. Let's go on to the next query. We've got Bhagirathi Nagarajan from Chennai who says, developers are tweaking their existing projects and turning them into affordable units. Won't this lead to abundant artificial supply in the market? Do you think so?
So I think, developers are ultimately going to cater to, where they see demand is. So if the demand is there for more of the affordable units, the basic business logic says that, you need to make those products which are for which there is demand. So if the demand is there for affordable units, developers are going to offer more affordable units. But coming down to the question where the existing projects are getting redesigned. So again, it is a function of the market requirement, the supply, the demand, the affordability, and the affordability of the housing unit for the pocket of the buyer.
Right. And Bhagirathi, remember that actually the government is embarked on this huge affordable housing project because over the years we've seen millions and millions of housing, the demand was ballooning at the base of the pyramid and we were catering to the upper segments of the market. The social sector as well as the middle income sector was not being catered to adequately and we have a huge housing shortfall. You know that the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana was actually to meet that in somewhere in the middle and say that at least by 2022 every Indian family should have a roof over their heads. The rental housing policy will also dovetail into that, but ultimately if there is such a large housing shortfall at the base of the pyramid, I think the developers are being incentivized to build in that segment and there's nothing wrong in that. Right, Kumar?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Now let's go on to Deepak from Noida who says, which locations offer maximum number of supply in 30 to 50 lakh budget segment in Noida? Would you like to take a Noida question?
Very difficult because I don't have, in-depth knowledge of the Noida micro market. So I think I would like to pass on.
Fair enough. Actually, we would like to say that while we bring experts, why don't you define which are the markets that you would like to address, Kumar?
Yeah, I'll be happy to talk about the market in and around Calcutta, in Bengal, and the trends which are there, are similar across most of the larger cities across the country. So,
Sure.
if I can slightly tweak his question and talk more about, if I was looking for an affordable apartment, where would I go? So for me,
Sure.
the communication and the transportation infrastructure will be very important. So access from, the quality roads, access to the metro station, access to the railway station, and, I would look at social infrastructure drivers like hospitals, malls, hotels, schools and colleges around the property.
Right. Deepak, that's a checklist for you. When you're looking at 30 to 50 lakh budget segment in Noida, what are the elements you should keep in mind so that you find the right house? And of course, you can always come back to Magic Bricks, put a search there, and we'll be happy to throw you a lot of options which tell you which locations you can get the right properties. After which, use Kumar's rule of thumb and to see whether all the facilities are around the project that you've looked for. There is Sunil Sharma. He's from Gurgaon, but I think we'll use the same logic that you use now, and you can answer around these questions. Sunil Sharma is from Gurgaon and says, my budget is 45 lakh and I want to buy a property in Gurgaon. Is it possible for me to find an affordable home in Gurgaon with good civic amenities? Now, let's talk about the infrastructure. Clearly, what he's saying is, and Gurgaon is a classic case where you've got very good apartment complexes, but the civic infrastructure has been weak. So how does a consumer balance the two? A good developer, a good project, something that matches his budget, and also what upcoming infrastructure is going to mean in that locality.
So I think, when you go out to buy an apartment, I think all of those are important. And, because of the affordable housing trend across the country today, you have, good developers who are venturing out to more locations where, infrastructure is getting developed. And more of those guys are, now developing projects in those locations where, you have good infrastructure, you have good communication, you have good transportation, you have good social infrastructure development around. So I think if you looked at, a few years back where, most of the developers were focusing on premium and luxury housing, you have those same developers, of repute who are now focusing on affordable housing in different parts. So you are, you have many more choices today than you had a few years back. So I don't think, really that is an issue today because of the affordable housing trend across the country. And you will see in the next few years that the larger and more projects will get launched and developed in this affordable housing segment than in any other segment.
Right. Actually, I think one of the things that you should keep in mind, and this is especially for Sunil Sharma from Gurgaon. Remember that earlier Gurgaon was like Kumar said, Gurgaon was an area where 3 BHK was the norm, and you had premium apartments and hardly anything in the lower categories. Thanks to government policies, at least there is the same developers are today talking about smaller units, more affordable within existing, set price brackets. So you can actually think of buying wherever you want. But when you talk about good civic amenities, look at those amenities that matter. Kumar spoke about transport infrastructure. He spoke about the external infrastructure, the schools, hospitals, hotels, shopping malls that impact your lifestyle. Then when your private space is a little smaller, you must make sure that your public space is adequately big so that you can get good lifestyles. But these 4-5 rules that he told you, that is what will help you shortlist where the best ones will come. We've got one very interesting question from Nikhil, who he's from Greater Noida. He says, how do I know that a particular project is affordable? Many times developers advertise lower prices, but the total costs come up higher. And this is something that consumers need to navigate, the hidden costs when you buy a property. Kumar, would you like to comment on that?
So, with the Real Estate Regulatory Act, RERA come in, all the developers are now mandated to be more transparent and, they have to disclose all the costs, when you go to book an apartment. So I think that is going to increase the transparency, which is mandated from the government side. But I think most of the larger and organized and reputed developers across the country, when someone comes to book an apartment, we are quite transparent in terms of the cost sheets. So when we give cost sheets and application forms to all the buyers, there are no hidden charges. Everything which a customer will need to pay is all disclosed at day one, and also shared in a cost sheet separately, which is actually handed over to the customer. So I think if you go to book an apartment with the larger, more organized developers, or reputed developers in general, you should not have this issue. Certain parts which are variable is, for instance, government taxes. So as and when tax rates change, that is payable by the buyer to as per the terms of the agreement. But largely, what is disclosed by the more organized builders is what you end up paying for the apartments.
Okay. We've got two queries. I think this is in response to what you talked about, the size and the price in the beginning. We've got Varsha from Delhi who says, why do affordable housing units why are they always attributed to small size units? Why bigger size flats cannot be affordable? That's one. And there's Dinesh from Bangalore who's also responded to you saying, is property affordable because of its size or its price?
So I think, because, India is such a large country, and you have such differences, across cities in terms of pricing. So, to come up with a standardized metric, I think the government has, used the size of the apartment as a metric. In terms of, affordable housing, in the smaller cities where the pricing is lower, but at the same time, income levels may also be lower. So generally speaking, the size of the apartment is a good measure for affordability. But yes, a single policy cannot capture individual variances across cities. So while both people who've talked about this have a good point in mentioning it, but from the government's perspective, as a single policy, probably the size of the apartment is the best metric. But yes, apartments which are larger may also be affordable. But then if there's such a large variance, it will vary from each city and each micro location within the city.
Sure. And the government doesn't tell you that you can't buy a larger unit. The government is only saying that up to 30 square meters is what they have classified as affordable, and where you get the CLSS benefit, the credit linked subsidy scheme benefit. But if you buy a slightly larger unit, and if your salary bracket is the relevant one, you can still apply for the credit linked subsidy scheme, and they're not going to discriminate against you. So whatever is affordable to you, you can buy, but the government has created its benchmarks.
Yes, and also looking at these metrics, they have come up with MIG1 and MIG2 categories, which was not there in the original policy. So now you have slightly larger units. So MIG1 is carpet area of 90 square meter, and MIG2 is carpet area of 110 square meter. So I think looking at these kind of questions, they have sort of increased the range of affordability from based on the different conditions prevailing in micro markets.
That's right. We've got Kumar Davar from Gwalior who says, as land is a state subject, what is the role of the respective states in realizing the center's housing for all dream? You see that different states are at different levels, right?
Yes. So, to promote the vision for housing for all, I think each state government needs to look at, the housing policy for the state, and, also to promote affordable housing, they need to come up with perhaps a single window system where large projects can get sanctioned and approved in a time-bound manner, so that people are not stuck with the land, or developers don't have to incur finance cost for the holding period, which is ultimately benefits which they can pass on to the consumers by lowering prices. So I think the government has to look at the affordable housing segment in a holistic manner, and look at ways and means where they can A, fast track the housing, and B, look at lowering the costs, whether it be finance costs, construction costs, and all of these other costs, which ultimately will lead to lower prices for the customers.
Right. We've got Preet Bharara from Pune who says only 250 people under the MIG scheme have availed of the CLSS till July. Why is the number so low under the mid segment?
So, this is largely, people are still, getting aware of these schemes, and, banks have now started to push, these schemes to the customers, and also the developers are, passing on the benefits, as well as, getting more and more people aware of this. So I think this is a transition period whereby, this scheme is, more and more people are getting aware of this scheme. And I think in the months to come, you will see a lot more people availing the benefits under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana.
Okay. I think we've mentioned these, but there is Mihir Sharma from Delhi who says, what are the benefits of buying a house under an affordable scheme? Would you like to put it into one, a quick snapshot of what are the benefits?
So, in the affordable scheme, primarily there are, financial benefits. So you get income tax benefits on your home loans, you get subsidized interest rates on your apartment purchase value. So there are financial benefits, and then the idea is that, because of these financial benefits, the amount you would otherwise pay for rent, maybe in the long term, you can convert those rent payments into EMIs for purchase of an apartment, and you end up being more socially secure and financially secure in the long run if you have ownership of assets rather than just being a tenant.
Right. Neha, do we need to wind up? Are we short on time?
I think we can just take one last query, Jayashree, and then we can.
Okay. And I think we've got a very interesting query, and Kumar, I think you would be able to answer this. There is Rajiv from Mumbai who says, how do you see the center scheme to provide housing for all by 2022? What are the problems faced by the developers in launching affordable housing projects? Everybody talks about the consumer being rogered, and here is one person who's saying, actually, what are the problems that the developers face?
So I think, the developers are facing some challenges in getting approvals in the right time period and in the right time frame. So I think the biggest push that the state governments can do is to fast track the approvals process so that affordable housing projects are speeded up in terms of the movement for statutory approvals for sanctions. So I think that is the biggest space where governments and state governments can step in to provide a time-bound manner where these projects can get approved, so that the affordable stock in the of apartments available for consumers in each city can go up.
Thank you so much, Kumar. That was a very interesting session, and thank you so much for to the consumers who have been raising these queries as we speak. And Neha, over to you. You have a great day, everybody, and thank you, Kumar, for joining us.
Thank you so much, Jayashree.
I thank you both of you for participating in this webinar session, and thank you to consumers as well for their active participation in this session. So keep posting your queries at the Magic Bricks Real Estate Forum and get it answered by our experts. The forum address is www.magicbricks.com/forum. You may also write to us at editor@magicbricks.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.